My name is Oladile Ogunlana. I'm a perception manager. I think people just need to learn to breathe. This is very important for me. I think this is probably maybe one first time that we're really paying attention to International Men's Day as a country. And so maybe it's a good start, especially because of the vision that has been placed in our hearts relating to men. When you talk about it, people get edgy, what about women? But yeah, see, there's nothing wrong with women, but it's not competition. But let's pay attention to men. I want to face men, you can face women. Yeah, to let people understand that there are a lot of things that men need to learn to talk about. And again, to disabuse the things that we have learned as growing up. And so we learn, we unlearn, and then we get better. And I know that way, people will last longer. And I seriously believe that a lot more people will stay alive when we start living well. But above all, I believe in life and living life to its fullest. And I see that we're not doing a lot of that. A lot of it because we have been tutored to pretend a lot in these parts. So we keep pretending, but after a while you realize that I owe nobody. Like I say to people, it takes a lot of energy to pretend, and I do not owe anybody that energy. So the minute you get to that point, then you can live easy and live well. So when I write sometimes and I end it with "I love my life," people always say, this man, but that's the truth. You've got to learn to love what you have, whether it's happening the way you want it to do or it's not. Just get used to pressing the reset button. Then I started paying attention to my inner man. And so it prompted the issue of relating to boys, helping boys. And when I talk about it, I tell my friends that it's okay to pay attention to the girl child, which is a lot of things that has happened around us. I said, but I worry because we're paying a lot of attention to the girl child and we're technically ignoring the boy child. So the boy child is being left out of the whole mix. And so at the end of the day, the girl child that we have groomed and turned into excellent creatures will end up marrying these boys that we have abandoned. So they end up marrying animals, permit me to use that word. So animals that are damaged because they feel inadequate, they have been ignored growing up. So you hand your children over to such people, then there's a problem. You've wasted their lives. So then I started saying, let's pay attention to these boys. But at some point it occurred to me that, so who are the people that are going to help these boys? Us. We are dealing with our own demons as well. We are damaged. We probably don't know. Some people don't even believe it. They disagree with me. But the thing is, we grew up with different things that are not proper for a human being to grow up with. And we thought they were normal. And I'll tell you some of them. Some of them is when you say something, they say, come on, be a man. What does it mean to be a man? Does it mean that you should shut down your humanity to pretend that you are what you're not? So those are the things, we grew up like that. Men don't cry. We heard a lot of it. Why shouldn't men cry if they're human beings? Flesh and blood cry. Men, let's start talking to ourselves. A lot of people said to me, it won't work, men don't talk. I said they will talk. Once you give them a platform, some guy, I'll give you an example if you don't mind. One guy was saying every 2 years, he buys his mom a car, he replaces her car. Oh, I said, okay. So I asked him a question after he went on. I said, when was the last time you bought a car for your father? He said, he doesn't need a car. And I said to him, can you imagine if your son said that to you in your old age? How would you feel? And I could see that it hit him, but he never thought about it. And that's the way we were all brought up, A man can take care of himself. But when you begin to realize that men are flesh and blood as well, and so not to excuse bad behavior, but when you begin to ignore people, they are deformed. So it's either they're attacking you or they are on guard all the time, so you don't have. And when you have horrible men, useless men, your nation cannot thrive. So that's how I started saying, look, I've got to take this thing seriously. Who is a man? A man is that person that has a responsibility. And when I say responsibility, I remember the definition that I got growing up. Responsibility means responding to his ability. One word that we hear a lot and that has been misinterpreted, I can say that is that word discipline. When you hear the word discipline, the first thing that comes to mind is maybe regimented living. It's like a soldier type of framework that comes to our minds. But discipline doesn't have to be like that. Growing up as a child, you can hear things like, Benedict, I expect to see A, B, C, D when I come back from work. You're given responsibilities, and you hear things like, I'm sure that by the time I come back, you would have done A, B, C, D, E. That's a responsibility that's been placed on you. And you follow through. That's your building discipline. And so when you start to form that habit with small things, it becomes natural, and that's what you do with big things. So you begin to, it doesn't look like work anymore, but because you've trained yourself, paying attention to things, details, they matter. And so when growing up, when they ask you to do things, it's always like they're punishing you, but they're actually framing you, they're helping you. And those things don't leave you. So I still suffer from it because people are not all like that. So I'm coming from an event, and to 30 minutes to the event, I don't have a program. That's not me. I have to plan, I'm structured, but that's not how everybody else is. So they don't have a program, they just expect that, come do this thing now, let's go. Now, and I say to people that why you asked me to do your event is from what you saw at an event. Now, what you missed out is that what you saw was born out of planning. We actually took time out to plan. So your event cannot be like that if you don't have a program that I can work with. But my people, they'll say, speaking too much English, come and do it. Unfortunately or fortunately, you end up doing it anyway and you do it well. So you've not helped them because they're still there and they're saying, Shepi, I told you you do it. So they've not learned how to do things well. It's all discipline. So those are the kind of things that you pick up as a young man, as a young child, let me use man, as a young man. And so those things help to frame your existence. They always work. They always work. So I mean, I had a tough upbringing. We played, but it was tough. You know that once you hear po po po, everybody disappears. You know that's a tough house. So I think basically I think that's how I see it. I don't see discipline as regimented. I see discipline as just helping to prune and frame you properly. It's now left to you to decide what you want to do with the education or the training. Again, don't always think that flogging is discipline. Again, that's another problem we have, so, and I remember very clearly, I used to work, I ran a daycare center with my mom at some point, and this boy was naughty. And immediately, said, why did you do that? He just stretched out his hand. Meaning that, look, beat me, let me move on, just beat me. So it's no longer punitive for him. He just knows that, Shay, you beat me and I'll go. You let me go after you beat me. So that's not. So people need to understand that. So I wouldn't raise a child that way because he doesn't get the message. There are many things you can use to deal with people, to correct, to reset people's brain. You know, some people like TV, some people like the computer, some people like football, some people like, there are too many things. You will know what people like and then you deny that. And let them know the reason why that is happening. People will sit up. So that's how I have learned to help people, you know. I have a son who, it worries me because he just doesn't want to do anything that offends daddy. And I don't like that, but that's the way it is. So if you tell him he's done something wrong, he gets so upset and angry with himself that, oh my God, I have messed up. Daddy is not happy. The day I noticed that, I'm like, cool down. You know, I'm not a terrorist, you know. But that's, for him, that's it. I don't want to mess up. But what it also does to you is that you've got to be careful because somebody's watching. That's all it means. Somebody's watching. So I think if we have a lot more men in that mode, not that I don't have faults, but when we're conscious and intentional about the next person or the next child or the neighbor or whoever, we'll build a better environment. We'll build a better environment because once you're not pretending, everybody knows. I tell people that I'm a human being. I'll make mistakes, but acknowledge it, and let's move on. I think one of the words that permit me to use, abused, is that word mentor. Because if somebody is your mentor, the person must know you, I believe. But a lot of, I heard it at that event today. The guy said, oh, you don't know, but you are my mentor. And I'm thinking, sir. He doesn't know that he's your mentor. So how is he working? You know, but a lot of people do it. And I tell people there's a role model role that you can use. So he's your role model, which is fine. But that he's your mentor. Mentor is deep, it's strong. Because you are modeling after that type of person. And so he's also coaching. There's a relationship. You know, so I think a lot of us don't have, a lot of us didn't grow up to have mentors. I can't even remember. That's the truth. So you had to do a lot of heavy lifting yourself. But the only thing is where you have a role model and you say, I want to be like that man. But the truth is you really don't know that man. What you know is what you see, and everybody has packaging that we do. That man that you think is a good man can be, pardon my French, but it can be otokoto behind. You know, and you don't know. But what you see, because we all have that, we can all pretend. You know, because if I'm selling a good meal to you, I know how to frame it so nicely. The same way men will package before the woman says yes. And then when she now says yes, she'll now be wondering, what happened to all the nice talk? And then it's marketing department. You know. So I think that it's very important to identify mentors. It's very important, especially now. We didn't have, but I encourage people to have now. But it doesn't mean that you should intrude or disturb people. And then also understand that it's not about you. It's not always about you. I think the entitlement mentality is what is creating a problem in this environment now. People just, I called you didn't pick. Yeah, I didn't pick because I was doing something else. You know, I need to see you. Yeah, okay. So people claim you and they become entitled. So a lot of work to be done. I'm not even sure if it's not solely a man problem, but it's a cultural problem now, you know, but we've got to reset, you know. So, but I think role modeling, mentoring is very key. It helps. People just turn you into a mentor in their homes, but let them, I said, we'll take the extra step. Look for the person, talk to the person, just know whether this truly is what you identify with. Because you can keep someone in your head as your mentor, but he's just so not the kind of person you need as your mentor. But in moving forward, and especially because it's International Men's Day, men should become deliberate, intentional about lifting the other man up. You know, I think it's very important. And when we start doing that, I am so sure that people will begin to live right. Look, let people know your truth. Is what let people know your truth. You don't have money, you don't have money. Don't form as if you have, because by borrowing. Let people know. That's even the way that you can get help. You know, because, and I say it a lot of the time, a lot of people that I expect to help me, they've not helped me. You know, and I'm wondering, why are these people not helping me? But someone said something to me once, you don't need anything. So sometimes you've got to learn how to speak up. You know, but first of all, just always get it into your head that you are a man, but you're a human being. So you've got feelings. And because you've got feelings, things will swing. And it's not a time to lie to yourself and try and feel big or whatever. No, be true to yourself. You know, if you need help, ask for help. If you want to cry, cry. You know, if you need a hug, get a hug. You know, they say it's not manly. What does that mean? You know, what does it mean that it's not manly? And the truth is, you know, it's so funny in this environment. If you see two men walking and they're holding hands, it's a problem. But women will hold hands and they're walking. And we think it's okay. In fact, we know it's okay. Well, okay, we think it's okay. But when two men are walking on the road and they're holding hands, people will stop them. Again, because it's a mindset thing. You know, so we've got to help each other. And, you know, I have spoken with a few women. 6 men sat in a room and they were talking 2 hours. Everybody, so they got to go back and say, okay, so guys, let's go. Hey, nice one, see you. So boys, and the one of them said, oh, by the way, so committed suicide last week. And someone said, well, that guy is okay now. I said, oh, really? He's okay. If he was okay, he wouldn't commit suicide. So everybody was like, To cut a long story short, that conversation that was ending and everybody was going took another 2+ hours. Everybody sat down because a gentleman that was there now said, well, guys, let me tell you, my wife and I are filing for divorce. I said, but you are the perfect couple. No, they were not perfect. But each time they sit, they don't tell themselves the truth. We don't do it. So we're pretending even to ourselves and we're dying. So it's time for men to start talking. People think it's not going to happen, but I know that it will happen. And I also know that it will happen and people will break down. Because suddenly, that which you have continued to bottle in, you're going to express. People will break down and cry. And that's where healing starts. So me, I'm looking forward to it. I'm expectant because I know that it's time to heal. And you know, when men heal, the country will get better. You know, because people are reacting from different perspectives. They're not well. Many men are not well. Many of us are not well before they think I'm talking about. You know, I love myself. So I will not punish myself to please you. Not anymore. I tell you, because I found out that in abandoning self, you're not helping yourself. And that's what we always do. You just want to please the other person. You want to be the nice guy at the expense of self. So I've learned that. So it works for me. If it's not working, it's not working. So I move on. Before I would bend over backwards, I would just do. And then you now get hurt when they don't even appreciate what you're doing or what you've committed to or how you've helped them. And you hear things like, okay, now, that's why he did it. If it wasn't worth his while, he wouldn't do it. So they totally disregard the sacrifice that you bring it on board. We've got to begin to learn a lot of those things. And again, I say to, I don't know whether this is the time to throw this in. it's because of the upbringing. A man, I was giving someone this example recently, a couple of days ago. A man and his wife, they go to work together every day from home. They drive to work. He drops her off, goes to his own office. He picks her, and they go home. Okay? Every day. And so, when they get home, the man enters the house. What does he do? He goes, carries remote control, and sits and is watching television. And the woman is in the kitchen. Yeah? It looks normal. It looks a natural way of life. But it's not right. And so I get a lot of knocks when I go tell this story. Because people are saying, but that's how it is. Yeah, that's how there were faults in our upbringing as far as I'm concerned. And I say to my friends, okay, so what is wrong with on your way? Look, you left home in the morning together. You came back together. So what is wrong with you on your way home saying, sweetheart, we're stopping to buy Chicken Republic. You must be tired. It doesn't make you less a man. You must be tired. And then you stop, you buy Chicken Republic. Okay, so you don't even have money and then you have to go home anyway. She's in the kitchen. What is wrong with you passing her plates, pots, or just being there in the kitchen with her and gisting with her? You know, some people are, that's not a man's, so who is a man? You know, so when you get used to that, people need to understand, I have to be careful. A woman doesn't ask for too much. It does not take a lot to make a good woman happy. I've changed it now, good woman. It doesn't take a lot to make a good woman happy. When a woman sees that you care, she will move anything for you. I know. All that one that you're doing, you're just carrying plates. She's happy because you're in the kitchen with her. The food will even be sweeter. And then people will now complain, she's always saying, I'm tired, but she's tired now. She's tired. She should be tired. She went to work just like you. Came back home to work. But a woman that you help, and she sees that you genuinely think and care about her, she's the one that will be harassing you. You're always tired. Why now? Come here. You know. So we've got to learn that it's not demeaning for a man to be feeling. Again, you can't blame people. It's the way we were raised. You know. But we have to help ourselves to change that narrative. You know. And that's my own point. And as far as I'm concerned, let's help men. Once we can help men, it will go a long way. And then when these men are fixed, we can then begin to help our boys. You know. And that way it's easy. So when a man is fixed, anything he gives is from his depth. And so he's able to mentor the young boys. And it's not automatic, it's a lot of work. But it's just something that we must decide to do. And life is not that hard. I'm telling you, I'm serious about that. Women don't ask for too much. Empathy, I believe. Empathy. You've got to learn to hear people. You don't know it all. I look forward to the time when we would have a female president in Nigeria. Honestly. It may be easy to say it, but I think it's the only way to break out of that mold. We wear pressure as if it's a badge of honor. You know, it's not. It's pressure. You know, so we've got to learn to just breathe. It took a while for me to get to this point. But you see, you will get to this point when a lot of people disappoint you. You know, and then you just find out that you're on your own. Nobody is thinking about you. You know, I said to someone yesterday that if you don't love yourself, why do you expect anybody to love you? And he was quiet. I said, because you don't love yourself, so why should I love you? So don't wear pressure. Don't try and be like somebody else. Because the truth is, you don't know what that person is dealing with. All you know is what you see. And all you see is what he has brought to the fore for you to see. So he's actually manipulating what you know, the perception you have of him. So you're killing yourself. It's like people that are, you see everybody is now going into acting because they see all these people on social media. I bought a house, another car today. I was asking someone, I said, all the people that we were watching when we were small, how come all of them, they don't have all these things? You know, so just be you. That's my story, really, and my message. Just be you. It pays to just be free. You know, I think it's very important to learn to be free. But you want me to say it, I'll say it. Pay attention to yourself for a change. And part of the things I'm going to talk about tomorrow is, when was the last time you even checked your health? That's the reaction I always get. And it's true. Pay attention to, just love yourself. You know, for some people, I tell them, okay, so if just look good for yourself. Eat well for yourself. Go places for yourself. You know, go and see a movie for yourself. You know, just love yourself. Take yourself out. Treat yourself. You find out that you do it for other people. You go, and you're number one. So take care of number one. If I see that you don't love yourself or you're not taking care of yourself, I will abuse you in the sense that I won't bother. I will have no regard for you. Because even you don't love you. But when I see someone that takes care of themselves, you can't throw anyhow at the person. Because you know that this person pays attention to A, B, C, D, E. So that's where your own starting point will be. If you know someone that is constantly abusing himself, will you even bother to praise that person? No need now. It's always abusing himself, bringing himself down. You know, so love yourself. I mean, I say it with so much energy now. I write something, I sign off with I love my life. My friends know me. They say, Mr. I love my life. Where are you now? Which place are you chilling? You have to. And I've learned that people see these things, they pick these things. You know, and they won't throw. If you have someone that's always moody, they will help you. They will bring bad news. You just be dropping it at your. This man likes to worry. Just give him something to worry. They even bring their own problem to give you, and you are always embracing problem. But love yourself. When you love yourself is when you just think, sometimes I do it. You just think, I just feel like having ice cream. And then you go out and get it. You're not thinking of, how much is the ice cream? I just feel like ice cream. It's when you get there, you know the price. But you feel like ice cream, so you have it. You know? So when you get to a point where you begin to love yourself, it goes a long way. You know, life is not that hard. We're the ones that always make it hard. So me, I'm learning. I love my life. I love myself. And people know. And I don't have any, what's the word, apologies about it. I love myself. Someone said to me that, you are still at that place? I said, you like enjoyment? Yes. You know, all the money you are saving, I was telling a friend, all the money you have saved, God help you, if something happens to you tomorrow, the way they will spend it, you that you worked for it, you have not been able to spend it on yourself. Abi? There are no guarantees. Who promised you tomorrow? So you walk all this walk and then you just, man, no. I went for a funeral, 40-year-old, the guy was 40. Everybody, we were all crying. 2 guys came to the graveside and they started to hail the guy. We didn't realize all he had done. We saw a young man has died. You know, maybe if he had been in an environment where he was appreciated, an environment where he was applauded, an environment where he could tell them about the things that he's doing, maybe he would have still been alive. Maybe one cannot, it is not right to put the burden on somebody else. Let's look at self first. You know. So you look at yourself and you say that, look, this should not be, this is what we should be doing. So you begin to work towards that and you begin to personalize a lot of these things. You know, it's, the environment will adapt to what you throw at it. So if you say to yourself, this is what we want to face, want to do this, want to do this, want to modify, the environment will work with you. But you've got to know what you want. It's when you don't know and it's all scattered that you get all sorts. I think, again, at the risk of sounding off, I don't think it's hard to just to live well. I don't think so. I don't think so. But we've got to agree. When you love yourself, you will frame what you say, what you do, what you eat, the environment you keep, it will frame you. So people should talk. Men are challenged because of the environment and because of the way we've been brought up over the years. You know. So I find living with intentionality as the only way. You know, as the only way. And maybe again, the reason why it's difficult for me to actually comment on this is because once you know what you want, you know what you don't want, things are easier. I don't want to. So you are guided by the things that you want to see. And I think people should just learn to talk. Talk up, talk down. Don't say, I can't talk to people down because, you know, talk. People should learn to talk. It's so healthy. It's so healthy because the environment you live in, the environment will help you to be quiet, because they want to feed on everything that you have. Someone says, what projects can we do? And I started to laugh. They said, why? And I told them, I said, amen, Africa's men. They said, were you thinking about it before? And I said, no, but here we are. You know, Africa's men, I believe it's the same thing. It's more about expanding what we want to do here, looking at it from an African perspective, doing the things, you know. Now I'm talking about that, you can begin to see how you can do the African perspective within cultures, and so people will then begin to understand that education is not necessarily schoolwork. Education is also learning culture, learning the arts, learning all those things. That's what tells me that the person is educated. So Amen, Africa's Men, is something that I am still going to pursue, but for now I think the most logical thing for me is to ensure that we have a crop of men that are ready to help themselves, are ready to help others, are willing to help young ones. When people come up and they say, you're a man now, to me it means nothing, really. But we know where they're coming from. They say things like, men don't break. Be strong, be a man, be a man. But there are always those moments where you just feel so much weight and you're just wondering what do I do? You're tired. You're really tired because you've tried. But a few of the things that help is being able to talk to yourself. Self-talk works a lot. You just talk to yourself and you remind yourself that just breathe. But if you don't love yourself, you can't do that. Because you don't love yourself, so why are you telling yourself to breathe? But you've got to get to a point where you can actually say to yourself, breathe. Relax. So regardless of who you have, you've got to be able to remember and say, Ola, breathe, when the pressure comes. Because it will come. But you just must be prepared for it. So I say to people that I've learned to just breathe. Calm down. I say, I can't calm down. No. If you don't calm down, the body will calm you down. So breathe. At the risk of sounding very churchy, I believe that one of the strongest things you can do for yourself is to learn to chat with God. Someone heard me one day when I was praying. I said, how can you talk to God like that? And I said, may I have my own relationship. Don't use my relationship to gauge your own. Because I have a way I say my own. And I guess it's like that with everybody that bothers to pray. So those are the things that just know how to deal with all these things, because it's a lot of the things that happen because of ignorance. And when they happen, some have far-reaching implications. And I think those two things actually go a long way. Remember God. Learn to speak to yourself. I will still add that, love yourself. But remember God. Remember God. Remember God, and then breathe. You don't always have to answer, or you don't always have to say something. Just learn to breathe. You'll be fine. What would I say to a struggling young man? Show up. Just show up every day. You're struggling, but people see your struggle, but just show up every day. Whether you're happy or you're not. I think it's important. Just learn to show up. Show up, do your bit, So sometimes when people see me now, they can't imagine the number of gigs I've had to do, small things, even the free ones you have to do. But they just see this big, nice picture now, and they're thinking, it wasn't like that before. It was not like that before. So it's I think it's It also helps when we learn to talk to ourselves. So this is what I'm doing. A lot of people lie. They lie. My wig is 120,000. Meanwhile, maybe you bought it for 50. Those little things. Like I said earlier, it's the little things that shape us. But when you are bent on presenting a facade, you're not going anywhere. And I don't think men should grow that way again. Men should have gotten to a point where they just want to live right and they want to be impactful. Men should embrace telling their truth. Be yourself. That's the only way you can heal. And that's the only way that people can actually give you the regard that you do. You know? So just be who you are, be who God intends you to be. And that's it. I think a lot of us will heal better. And then you will find out that, I believe, that we will begin to find ourselves. And then there'll be that connection. And it will be as if we've lived on this same planet for this long and we're just discovering some of these things. You know, sometimes I'm just wondering, is it somebody that just doesn't want this thing to work well somewhere? You know? No, actually, I met TBR at Covenant when my friend came to talk, and then Pastor Pojo had to disgrace me by telling the whole hall that we have known ourselves for 50 years. And he said, you know, we all grew up together in the man, you know. And I think TBR was some protocol group at the time or so. Yeah, and that's how we met. And so he came to do something for my friend that came in from Kenya. And as he was going out, he just looked at me and said, I want to make something for you. And I'm thinking, that I shall walk in pleasant places. You know, and he brought it. And I think I have about 4 or 5 things at the moment. You know, and I'm thankful. But it's a good brand. It's comfortable, it's easy. People will always ask that, and I'm going to tell that story again tomorrow.